the DNC had their Unity and Reform Commission meeting, their final meeting on Friday and Saturday in Washington. And one of our reporters is actually on the commission, so she doesn't report on it. We had Ryan Grimm and Eric Byler report on it for TYT Politics. But Nomi's on the commission because Bernie Sanders basically put her on there. She's one of his representatives as they look to do reform within the party. And she was quite animated when she was speaking about the need for reform. This pretty much lit the internet on fire. So let me show you portions of Nomiki's speech at the Unity and Reform Commission hearing. Watch.
This smells. This doesn't just smell to the public right now that the budget of the party was never put before. Forget about the Budgetary Committee for a second. Put before the people who have a fiduciary responsibility. Whether it's Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, whether it's Donna Brazile when she was chair, when she was vice chair, or Vice Chair Ray Buckley, or Dr. Jim Zogby over here. That's over half the executive committee right there, had no idea where the money was going. We spent $1 billion, lost the easiest presidential race you could possibly imagine with joint fundraising agreements. State parties weren't being funded. During the DNC chair's race, there were some state party chairs who said, I'm an acting executive director and I have $3,000 cash on hand. How are you supposed to rebuild the party if you have no idea where that money was spent? And you know what? I did go through FEC filings, and it doesn't look good. It smells. We're talking about close to $700 to $800 million between the joint fundraising agreement and the DNC being spent on 5 consultants.
Oh man, I love that. So some people will think, oh, well, Nomi, hey, you're not being civil enough. Are you kidding me? She's exactly right. We spent $1 billion and lost to a monster like Donald Trump. If you're not angry about that, there's something wrong with you. You should be furious about that. I mean, they constantly blame Bernie Sanders supporters. What are you talking about? You guys are the ones that misspent $1 billion. And if 5 consultants got that money, well, then I want to see how they're doing because I don't think they're doing very well. That's why they're desperate to keep that budget secret. And that's what Nomiki's been talking about the entire time she's on that commission. That's why revealing what's in the budget and who it goes to is one of the most important things there is. So she's going to talk more about that here.
The number one issue I get asked out in the public by DNC members is, what are you going to do about the budget? It is absolutely ridiculous that we are going to keep a status quo system when it basically says we're going to continue to lose 1,200 seats. Let me describe what losing 1,200 seats looks like, or the remaining seats we have. If you're in Trump, yes, but let's break that down a little bit. If you're in Arizona and you have an ectopic pregnancy, you can't go to a Planned Parenthood clinic because it's gone, because that state legislature is lost. So you have to drive over to New Mexico. And if you bleed to death on the way, you know whose fault that is? In my mind, that's a Democratic Party that wasn't funded, recruiting candidates, investing in local parties. And that is our fault because we have put that money to the top 5 consultants. And part of that has to go to the conflicts of interests. This is outrageous, it's unethical, it's bad governance, and frankly, it's fucking, corruption.
Go get him. It's about time somebody said it. Constable on patrol. So those 5 consultants are not happy about those kind of speeches. So that's why they only had the budget seen by only 2 people at the DNC. One of them was the chair, and oftentimes, according to Donna Brazile, they would even circumvent the chair. So goddamn right, it's about time we found out what's in the budget. How all those people who sent money to the DNC, the big donors, they want to lose their money, that's their business, right? But for the small donors, for all of you guys who sent money because you wanted progressive victories, they did not deliver those victories for you guys. They delivered victories and paychecks for those consultants, but we didn't get what we bargained for. So can we at least see how you spent the money, how you're planning to spend the money in the future, and get accountability? It is the very least we can ask for. Now, one more from Nomiki in this same speech.
The majority of the budget goes to vendors. So we have to have a conversation about who are those vendors.
I agree.
And that would happen through a budget and finance committee or another committee. But I think what's key is that that committee has oversight and it is elected. Because right now these committees are stacked with whoever the chair decides is on the committee. And I don't know what the chair's interests are because he's been chair for 8 months. I don't know who he's in line with. But we don't have time. We have a freak in the White House and state legislatures controlled by Republicans, and poor state party chairs like Jane Klebb having to go out there and fundraise on her own because the Democratic Party isn't able to allocate money. Well, all that money, we went to presidential races, but it was burned, lit on fire. And who suffers as a result of some consultants getting third, fourth, and fifth homes? The American people. People being rounded up by ICE. Let's keep this in perspective right now. We have a duty here, and it is not just a duty to our committeemen and the status quo. It's a duty to the American people, to the Democratic Party members, to the DNC chairs, to the DNC members, the executive committee members, and the people who have a fiduciary responsibility.
Amen. Amen. Preach it, sister. Teach it. Incredibly proud of Nomiki Konst there. Look, this is not a part of her job. It is separate from that. Like I said, we had reporters who went there. Ryan Grimm and Eric Byler covered it for TYT Politics. But I'm incredibly proud of Nomiki for that speech and for her tireless effort to bring accountability to the DNC. And by the way, I'm proud of you guys because Young Turks viewers are what gave the money to be able to hire reporters like Nomiki in the first place. So bless your hearts. And I think she's made a huge difference. I now think the commission has gotten some results and we'll get some transparency to that budget. So that work paid off. There's still a couple of steps left, and we have to keep holding their feet to the fire to make sure that they deliver on that accountability with the budget, also getting rid of 60% of the superdelegates and bringing same-day voter registration, at least in the caucuses. So those are some of the results, but I wish everybody at the DNC would be as fired up as Nomiki so we can actually get real reform so that they spend your money to get you what you bargained for, which is progressive victories.